What's up, guys? It's Chuck West of CW Brand Solutions, here to do a continuation, a part 2 of a video I put out a few days ago about logo design. Now, we were talking about some of the things that make a good logo, and I was telling you, using an example of the New Balance logo, and that I was going to be redesigning the New Balance logo based on their ideas and main principles of what makes New Balance New Balance. So, I'm going to start by showing you New Balance's logo for their lifestyle brand, and then we're going to show you the solution that I came up with, and we'll compare. Let's get into it. So here we see one of New Balance's shoes that I just put into Photoshop. Now, I photoshopped it so that it's colored in black, white, and gray, just so it's easier to integrate our own design into it. When it comes to logo design, we want to start by going with black and white. Let's remember what New Balance's values are. We talked about how comfort was a big deal for them. It ranks at the top of the list of the benefits that New Balance offers its customers. To put this logo into context once again, it was Terry Heckler, a designer who made this uppercase N back in the late 70s and early 80s, when he saw that New Balance simply had a design on its shoe that was 3 simple stripes. Now, this is what New Balance shoes looked like before Terry Heckler got his hands on them. And what Terry Heckler noticed is that with these stripes that you see here, you wouldn't really get a memorable brand. You wouldn't really get a memorable brand from this. And what Terry wanted to do was create a simple logo that would be easy to remember and establish New Balance as a brand. So if it's easy to remember, it is easier for it to become popular with new potential audience members, aka runners and sneaker collectors. So let's go back to the New Balance shoe. This N is very easy to remember. Why? Because let's remember what we know about making a logo very effective. A little lesson I learned from Chris Doe at The Future. An effective logo has contrast, legibility, and hierarchy. So let's look at this N here. Now, the logo that Terry Heckler came up with wasn't just the N on the side here. It was actually the N and the B with the speed marks going through the N. The reason we're going to focus on this N instead, however, is because we are focusing not on New Balance's running shoe, but on New Balance's lifestyle brand, which is a sub-brand of New Balance that came out after Terry Heckler designed the logo. And my focus was to redesign the lifestyle brand. So let's look at this capital N here. Remember, what does a good logo need? It needs 3 things: legibility, contrast, and hierarchy. Now, this N is definitely legible. I mean, after all, it's a capital letter N, and we've all seen that letter before. Even those who don't speak English have seen the letter N before. So it's readable. We know it's the letter N. Now, you can see the contrast in a few ways. In this case, with the shoe, there's contrast in the axes, right? Because with the letter N, you have 2 vertical axes and then 1 diagonal, because that's what you need to create a letter N, 2 vertical lines and a diagonal in between to connect them. So that's one area of contrast. Another area of contrast on this particular New Balance lifestyle shoe is the difference in colors on the logo. You can see how the N is in white, but then it has a gray stroke around it, and then another black stroke around it. So the contrast in colors helps as well. So we see legibility, we see contrast, but now what about hierarchy? The hierarchy is also created by these gray and black outlines. They want you to focus on that white N. That's most important. No. They want you to see that dark stroke. That brings out the N itself even more. It makes it bolder. It makes it more visible. And again, Terry Heckler was trying to create an easily seen brand for the New Balance shoe. So this is accomplished by that. So this is a pretty simple logo, but that presents a problem to any of us who want to redesign it, right? Because other than legibility, contrast, and hierarchy, we know that a good logo stays simple. So how do we go about making this simpler? Well, that can be a difficult question to answer. Aside from simplicity, another way to go about, aside from simplicity, another thing that's important, no, but aside from simplicity, another important thing to consider when designing a logo or redesigning a logo is the brand story. Now, be careful here because I'm not saying that the logo itself should be an entire story. It should just be something that makes the brand identifiable. But using the brand story as a springboard for creating new ideas will always be helpful when it comes to logo design. So what is New Balance's story? New Balance was originally started by an English immigrant named William J. Riley back in 1906. And when he first started the brand, he wasn't even making shoes. He was only making arch supports for shoes. Now, legend has it that Riley got the idea for his arch support by looking at, can you believe this? Chickens. That's right, chickens. Chicken feet, to be more precise. And seeing how a chicken's three-pronged foot helped it balance when it walked, Riley used that idea for his arch supports to create a three-point arch support to ensure comfort in the shoe for the user. And over the years, New Balance has gone out of its way to promote comfort as its top feature. So can we use this idea of comfort as well as chicken feet to make a new logo for New Balance? I think we can. Per Riley, chickens have three-pronged feet, right? So let's take a look here. 1, 2, 3. And then of course there's a back prong on the back of the chicken's foot. Now, we want to show comfort and stability. So would showing 3 prongs and 1 prong in the back promote stability? No, because it would be like 3 prongs standing on 1. That doesn't seem very stable. So what I did, I took 2 chicken feet, or the fronts of 2 chicken feet, and fused them together. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, it makes this asterisk shape. Now, what do we think about when we think of asterisks? We think about, oh, there's a detail somewhere. We think of footnotes. We think of, oh, pay attention to this. There's a particular detail to be mentioned here. An asterisk connotes some sort of special detail. And New Balance puts a lot of detail into making their shoes comfortable. So how do we express comfort in this double chicken foot asterisk logo? I did it this way. The same way that New Balance had the gray stroke and darker stroke around their N, I put that gray stroke and dark stroke around the asterisk. Why? Because having layers, almost like arch supports within the shoe, not artificially put in the shoe, but actually a part of the shoe, is how they displayed comfort with their logo. So I added these extra strokes, the gray stroke and the black stroke, to not just show contrast and hierarchy as New Balance did, as Terry Heckler did with the uppercase N, but to show comfort in the asterisk. You are protected by these different layers, these different strokes. Your feet will be comfortable in this shoe. I must reiterate, even though I used the story of the chicken feet to redesign this New Balance logo, I don't want you making the assumption that a logo is supposed to be a complete story. Do not get complex with logos. Good logo design is about taking out what is not needed. So don't draw some story of a man looking at chickens and say, oh, this entire painting is a logo. No, it's too complex. Nobody's going to remember it. Nobody's going to be able to see it from far away. Now, if we zoom out from the shoe, we can still see that asterisk with the strokes in it, right? Again, legibility remains important. But never forget that a story can be used as a springboard to design a new logo. Now, was my redesign as good as the end? You decide. Leave some feedback in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you might have done it differently. And always remember, keep your logo designs simple. Design something good. I'm Chuck West of CW Brand Solutions, and you've been watching The Brandlands.